Not. So Patrick, do we describe this for everybody, Rob?
What?
You describe it. You describe it. What? I do enough talking.
Whatever. What?
I think any car's dead in iRacing. I think it's gone.
Oh, it's definitely. I agree. It's not going to survive much, but I still think we'll find opportunities to race it, just not as fruitful as before. Some of them just want to like make. What's the thing? Like that guy wanted to make like dolls out of Tyler's hair, but then there's just other guys who are just like. He did. He would say weird things to Tyler, man. Like he was a strange guy. And then like other guys would just show up and nowhere. He's like, "Oh, we never met you? Sure, come race this 24 with us." And then you just jump in the car and wreck us out in a lap and be like, "Okay, never see you again."
Yeah, that
like,
was
okay. Well, better luck next year, I guess.
That was the guy from.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome along to the wonderful Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. It is the penultimate round of American Muscle Series Season 4. I'm your sole commentator for this evening, Tom Dillon. On production, alongside me is Jesse Olsen. But anyway, what a wonderful race this is going to prove to be. We've got just a few minutes before we get into this 10-minute qualifying session. Then it is our sprint race format. It's our two 20-minute races ahead of us this evening. And, well, how exciting that should be. The championship has already been wrapped up. That's Aero Nam who has been able to pick that one up. But anyway, there's still plenty of fights going on in the amateurs. Dan Ott is only finding himself 8 points ahead of Chuck Lobano, who sits in second position. Here are those championship standings, by the way. It's 458 versus 450 with David Moore in third. A little ways back, but not totally out of it yet, mathematically speaking, to my knowledge. Actually, no, looking at the sheets, that would be, mathematically speaking, 160 more points on offer, but drop rounds have to be considered as well. Mike Thompson Jr. is in fourth with David Blair in fifth. Prize money paid out, by the way, to the top 8 in each of the standings. Here are the pro standings. Then Aero Nam in the lead of these 720 points. Enough with a maximum drop of 77 to beat Scotty Banks, sitting 38 points behind on 682. He wrapped that up last week. So anyway, Luis Enriquez is in third, still a chance to catch up to Scotty Banks, with Keith Nelson Jr. In fourth after a couple of poor rounds this season, actually, despite pushing Aero most of the way home. Matt Malone sits in fifth. Now, more pressingly, here in the American Muscle Series, the Aero Nam could actually do the perfect season this time out when you take into account drop rounds. Now, the scenario for that would be that he would have to get pole position this evening and to win both of... needs a pole and a win. So in the next two races. So if it's tonight, he needs to win both races and qualify on pole position to get the perfect season, which is just pretty incredible. But anyway, as we get to the end of the season, we're looking at Matt Malone right now, going up through Sector 1. Down into a left-hander. At least I believe this is Matt Malone. I think I'm having a few problems on my... television pictures. No, definitely is Matt Malone. In fact, rather confusingly, it's Aero Nam on the television picture. So no, I apologise. This isn't Matt Malone. This is clearly something going wrong with my my television pictures. Let me see if I can sort that out. Yeah, I can see it. What's happened? If you give me 1 moment, we'll try and get that one fixed for you. But it's not letting me fix it, so I'll have to reboot my various gadgets that I got up here in the commentary box. Not ideal. Hopefully I'll get it fixed up for you. But anyway, as we take a look at the live timing, it is Randall McGrew who sits on the top of the tower. Now I finally get a shot of Aero Nam on my screen, and my television pictures are finally fixing themselves. So there we go. Panic over. Aero Nam up through the final corner. Will he go to pole position 4 minutes into this session? And yes, he will. 1:29.8. It's 4/10 of a second ahead of Phil Keck, who sits in second. Jeff Robichaux is only 1/100th off, sitting back in third. We'll have a look now. It's Randall McGrew, see what he can do to get himself back up the order. Again, it's a season that never really took off for Randall McGrew. Missed a round or two, I think. He did show promising signs and has been up there throughout most of the season. It's not been quite the dream full season for him. Here he goes then, into this right-handed kink almost. Luis Enriquez goes into second position. McGrew trying to find something into these last couple of corners. It's a good lap at the moment. Perhaps not good enough to beat out Aero Nam, and in fact it won't be. Crosses the line with a 31.0 and does improve. Only as far, in fact, improves quite significantly. 30.0, only a tenth of a second off of Aero Nam. Evan Huvshak is in third at the moment. In fact, there goes Jeff Robichaux to the top of the timing tower. Immediately, Aero Nam improves dramatically. 1:29.4, 4/10 of a second ahead of the 24 car. Now we look at Scotty Banks, how he would like a pole position for these two 20-minute races. Almost sliding the car through that final corner. Up to the line goes Scotty Banks. And it's going to be an improvement, only as far as 9th position though, so not an ideal situation for him. 100th of a second. In fact, the entire top 9, I think, are separated by just about 0.3 of a second at the moment. This is Chuck Lopano gunning for that championship lead ahead of Danot in the amateur category. 8 points the separator if you are just joining us, of course, between those two cars at the moment. It's only 1 point per position today, all the way up to 40 points. One more corner to go for Chuck Lopano. Can he set off this championship charge in the penultimate race of the season? He goes ahead of Dan Ott, but not competitive in regard to the top of the amateur standings. So I suppose Dan Ott at the moment is all he's really focused on in this championship. Moment it's 4.58, plays 4.50. Here's Thompson, currently on top of the amateur standings. Not too far off in regard to this championship, but out he pulls to the left-hand side. He's in 4th at the moment and 60 points off the leader. Which actually, I say that, I think that he's out of it. It's not too far off over the course of the season. Is the other Thompson then? And into the pits, and that will be his session over. So 24th position is enough for that number 133 car. And in fact, I think we've got a pretty quiet racetrack out there at the moment as people just filter through for their final laps of the day. 130 seems to be the benchmark, 129 specifically set by Aero Nam. Here's on board with Jay Bast. See how much they have to feather the throttle in these Mustang cars. He's not going to use too much curb out to the right hand side. Now out almost onto the grass on the left. Lots of curb being taken as he finds his way around this Mosport circuit. Still just tentative. Jay Bass, this is looking like a pretty poor lap actually on the timing tower. Slower than, I say poor lap is all relative. Slower than his previous one. And what can he do then as he comes up to sector 2 timing line? It's still yellow. It's really a final roll of the dice. There's only 30 seconds left in this qualifying session overall. Now through the final couple of corners, Jay Bass is going to have to throw this car in. It's a lot of commitment, but he's missed the apex on the turn in, slides through the second part, hits the apex of that second turn in the right-hander, then it's another apex hit rather perfectly. Now into the final corner. Can he do anything? No, it's so tentative, and in fact, he backs out of the lap. That is probably the end of the qualifying session now. We're right on board with Phil Keck. He's got 8 seconds to try and get his lap in. It's not going to be easy for him. He's up through sector 1 now, so in fact he's definitely not going to get this lap in. 10 minutes is onto the board, and a couple of seconds of leeway is not going to be given. So 2 20-minute races. The first one, which will have Aero Nam on pole position, it's going to be in this order, and well, we'll go through it right now. Aero Nam on pole position. Luis Enriquez starts second. Jeff Robichaux in third. Fabian Zoya in fourth, with Scotty Banks in fifth. Randall McGrew in sixth, with Phil Keck in seventh. Eighth is Evan Hubchak. Jay Bast in ninth. Jesse Hodgson in 10th. Matt Malone in 11th. Jeff Dunnington starting in 12th. And it's Mike Thompson Jr. on pole for the AMS. Mike Nickham in 14th. David Moore in second for the AMS with Todd Hansen in 16th. And it's Clymer Labano crucially getting ahead of Dan Ott in 19th. Edgar Sanchez starts 20th. Jeff Besnard in 21st with Jeff Andres in 22nd. Matthew Gazenda starts 23rd with Matthew Thompson in 24th. And it's Stefan Price in 25th with Jay Little starting 26th, Scott Brooks in 27th, Martin Bork 28th, Crystal T starts a lowly 29th for his standards in this championship with David Blair rounding out the top 30. Then Ken Eschstep, Ryan Bevel and Roger Clark make up the rest of the grid. Not too long before we get ourselves underway here. Sarah Nam right in the centre of your picture as we wait for the lights. He's gunning for the perfect championship season. He runs away at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and it's a decent start for Aeronami. It's a poor start from Louis Enriquez, who's going to get swallowed up by Jeff Robichaux as they go down into turn 1. Zoya's trying to attack him as well, but back to the outside line goes Louis Enriquez, trying to find this second position back. Aeronami, by the way, 5 tenths per second. He's disappeared into the distance off of the race start. Jay Bass now trying to make up a position on Phil Keck. He's not quite able to find anything. There's only a change to the lead. There is a change to the lead in the amateurs. Chuck Labano has managed to find himself ahead of the leader in there. Here is Jay Bass down the inside. Matt Malone is trying to attack him. Jesse Hodgson is out of the race. There's been an incident for him. I'm not too sure what happened to our amateur class pole sitter of Thompson. He's down in 19th position at the moment. Jay Bast is back past Phil Keck. There he goes down the inside. Sprint race at the moment. .32 cars now barreling down into Sector 3 of this Canadian Tire Motorsport Park circuit, and here's Fabian Zauer looking for a podium position. Not going to be able to find it just yet, has to stay behind. Scotty Banks is trying to advance up on him, but he's under pressure from Randall McGrew, sitting down in 6th position. Such a competitive class, the pros at the moment. Aeronam across the line, 35.6 is the fastest lap of the race on lap 1, of course. So he has got the clean air to work with. No one else has. Scotty Banks there looking to capitalise on a mistake made by Zoya. In fact, I think it was Scotty Banks' mistake that allows Randall McGrew to go around the outside. He thinks about it, hasn't quite got the legs into a rather off-camber left-hander. There is a mistake from Jeff Robichaux, and in fact there's round Jeff Robichaux. Banks has to duck to the insides as Randall McGrew gets past him, but Jeff Robichaux isn't out of the race, but he's certainly barreling down the order. There's a car around the outside, straight into the wall. My word, that's Gazenda. That was a dramatic incident. As here's Randall McGrew up into 4th position, got past Scotty Banks on that occasion. He's now looking to find himself under a little bit of pressure. Further at the top of your picture, there's a almost changed position. Evan Hubchak tries to stay ahead of Jay Bass. Hodgson's falling down the order. Meanwhile, in the amateurs, crucially, it's Chuck Labano who leads that race at the moment, only gaining 2 points on his championship rival, though, of Dan Ott, who had a poor weekend last time out. Now here's Randall McGrew finding himself under an increasing amount of pressure from Scotty Banks. Look to the inside as Aeronam almost betters his pole lap with a 29.5 over the line. He's accelerating way into the distance in his quest for the perfect championship season. Here's that incident then, as we look at Jesse Hodgson. And this would actually be a repeat of last season, where according to drop rounds as well, Aeronam was able to pick up the perfect championship beat season, the maximum points for the season. Banks looks to the inside. Now swoops around the outside, not able to find much at the moment. Back to the inside for the next corner. And still, just not able to find a way through on Randall McGrew. Here he goes now, looking for something of a switchback. Yet another fastest lap by Aero Nam as now Scotty Banks goes to the inside, trying to get that fourth position away from Randall McGrew. Pushes him all the way out to the curb as it's a bit of a skirmish further back. That was Phil Kecker, almost got all crossed up through that sequence of corners. Now Scotty Banks has to go to the outside as he's under pressure from Evan Hoopshak down the inside. McGrew holds on for the time being. David Clymer has had a spin. He's tumbling down the order. Past already is Edgar Sanchinelli. Now Banks, all this battling not working for him as Evan Hoopshak tries to send one down the inside. $14 more minutes to go in this first race. And further back, you can see that would be Phil Keck trying to make a move on Matt Malone. Here he goes. It's actually Matt Malone trying to make a move on Jay Bast. My apologies. Here goes that number 83 car. Can he find his way down the inside? It looks like he's going to go for it. Just not able to find that move. Here is yet another championship season for this man, Aero Nam. And again, today he's trying to top it all off in the most perfect of fashions. Big task ahead of him in race 2 though, Aero Nam, likely starting way down the order. His alternative, of course, is to get a pole and a win next time out, as there's Randall McGrew making a little bit of a mistake. Scotty Banks try and find a way through somewhere. The easiest place to make a move around here, in these cars especially. Jay Little is tumbling down the order. He's made a mistake as well. So it's Thompson, Gazenda, Schultes, Clark and Hodgson who are released into the pits. 3 of those cars are confirmed to be out of the session. Early cup of tea before they wait for the next round. This was Jay Little just dipping a wheel onto the grass and getting it all wrong. And you know, it'd be unfair to call dipping a wheel onto the grass anything but what is essentially a rookie error, but it's called as such because so easy to make that mistake. And iRacing is especially punishing on that. Just watching it on the YouTube stream, it's quite dramatic actually, as Jay Little jumped over the curb. It's one of those, it's such a silly mistake to make, but everyone's done it. Banks is now falling ever so slightly behind Randall McGrew, in fact finding himself under pressure from Evan Hoopchak, who's bumping him down the straight. Now that is a very close and personal shot of the inside of Evan Hoopchak's car. He's going to be tapped round. Is he going to hold on to it? Just about. My word, around the outside goes Jay Bast. He should really give the position back, but it looks like he's going to fight this one out. He knows there are people behind him. Around the outside he goes now as Hoopchak goes back through. Matt Malone even is trying to make a move further forward as Scotty Banks able to get up into 4th position. He's ahead of Randall McGrew now, but for how long? Matt Malone's to 7th position. Scotty Banks still around the outside. He just can't get around Randall McGrew at this stage as McGrew defends so well and gets back up to 4th. None of this working out for Evan Hubchak, who whilst he's managed to pull away a little bit from Jay Bass, that tap has helped him lose touch slightly to McGrew and Banks. It's not really helped him, as it's probably a poor choice of words. Here goes Scotty Banks then. Watching that replay back, and in fairness to Jay, I do think he let Hubchak back through. It's a difficult thing for him to do, because now that's allowed him to, or forced him to lose out to Matt Malone, who sits in 7th at the moment. Luis Enriquez in 2nd position at the moment, 3 seconds forward to Aeronom, and then 6/10 of a second back to Fabian Zhao. Here he is. One of the few Europeans in this championship as Thompson. That was pole sitter, actually loses a few positions down into 24th position. Counting here, actually, one of 2 Europeans, 3 if you count me, in the American Muscle Series. This is giving us a little bit of clarity on what happened to Matthew Thompson. As I concede again that my replay system is not working this evening, so I'll have to apologise for that as we switch back to the live action. Something I definitely can see. As Matt Malone thinks it's a good time to try and get past Evan Hubchak, we think it's a good time talk to you about the people bringing you this wonderful Pro Class action. It's Gunfire Games, the Pro Class brought to you by Gunfire Games, the developers of the newly announced video game Remnant 2. For more information on Remnant 2, you can visit www.remnantgame.com. That's REMNANT game.com. We thank them and all of our sponsors, of course, who will be getting through throughout the course of this evening for their wonderful support of this American Muscle Series Season 4. As it draws to its conclusion and the battling is just hotting up, this is why they've chosen to sponsor this series, as down the inside goes Matt Malone and is able to get past Evan Hubchak, followed through by Jay Bast, and Hubchak really struggling now as Phil Keck is looking to get that position as well. Not quite able to find a way through just yet though, Phil Keck has to stay behind. Battle for second position is Luis Enriquez. At the moment occupying that spot. And Aeronom well and truly down the road at this stage. He is weakly driving to the distance. Not able to do much though. It's Fabian Zhao as he tries what he can to attack. In fact, in any track we go to here, it's never easy to find your way through. for the record, I should mention that this would be a 6th race on the bounce for Aeronam and well, in terms of the event as a whole, there's only been two that he hasn't won in a season. That was the round 3, the Brands Hatch 2020, when he retired from the second and failed to win the first. Switching back to this battle, the lead of this train now is Matt Malone as they further fall behind Scotty Banks and Randall McGrew, who seem line of stern for the time being. An incident, by the way, between the 148 and the 115 will be investigated after the race. That put the 115, by the way, of Thompson out of this race, or at least into the pits now for an extended period of time. And there's a spin. That's a spin from Evan Hubchak, whose day is going from pretty mediocre to worse. Trying to get this car turned around as pretty much 25 other Mustangs fly through on him. And the iRacing yellow flag display isn't great. The drivers running crew chief will have no issue, I'm sure, as Robichaux is trying to get past Price, and it looks like he's done that. Here's Jeff Andres and Mike Nickham having a battle. This is 3rd place in the amateurs. On 14th place overall, and to the inside goes Andres. It looks like he's got the run. And he find his way down the inside. The answer, as it switches to the outside line for the right-hander, it seems to be pretty much no. This is Dan Ott. He's trying to attack his championship rival in the amateur category. His championship rival being Chuck Labano. One more race left in this season. That's the Cup historic layout of Sonoma. Randall McGrew told me that really good racing for these cars, that particular layout of the Sonoma Raceway. It's so important for these guys to give each other a championship, or give themselves a championship lead over the other into that final round. And right now, Dan Ott is holding on somewhat. There's his opportunity, though. To the inside he goes. Has sneaked through to the lead of the amateur race, and what a moment for him that is. With 2 minutes to go in this event, here is that move from another angle. Slightly deep went Chuck Labano, and helping himself to the lead of the amateurs was Dan Ott, and helps him so much in that championship. Only a point on Chuck Labano, but the significance in that is that every point gained is pretty much a position that Chuck Labano has to get next week. Here he goes, trying to attack once more. Zinger Sancinelli is getting involved in the battle for overall positions, of course. If he was to sneak in front of Dan Ott, or Chuck Labano, actually, that would lose them each a point. It looks like we've got one more lap left of this race, depending on where Aeronam is right now. He's 4.8 seconds down the road on Luis Enriquez. In any case, here he goes. You would assume that it'll be white flag this time by. Here is Zara. This is for second position. It's Luis Enriquez that he's trying to attack. He looks to the inside line, but he's not able to find a move. I always forget it's the outside line, actually, as they go into the next braking zone. And the outside line has had no doing for anyone throughout the course of this race. Scotty Banks now trying to maybe have one more roll of the dice for fourth position. There's a little bit of caution in these guys' driving styles, as the white flag is flying on the left-hand side of your picture, the right-hand side now from this new camera angle, and Scotty Banks with one more opportunity perhaps to get to this 4th position, but you know that the points gained from one single position is so negligible in comparison to what happens if you fall all the way down the order. It almost doesn't make it worth going for the move if it's on the edge. As Banks now maybe looking to the inside, Jay Bast holding on to 7th position. It's Matt Malone that's trying to attack him. Sorry, he's trying to attack Matt Malone. Getting it mixed up in my head. So Jay Bast for 7th, trying to attack Matt Malone for 6th. We're on to the final lap of this first of the 20-minute race, and there's one, and they make contact. And Matt Malone almost spins around. I don't think he'll try and get the position, Jay Bast, but he's going to lose out to Phil Keck in doing so. And as we go up into Sector 3 for the final time, it's going to be Jay Bast occupying that inside line, but Phil Keck able to get ahead of him and stay ahead of him for the time being. Is there going to be a counter-attack? As Aero Nam is going to take the checkered flag, he's going to win and do half of the job he needs to do in order to take away the maximum points from this American Muscle Series Season 4. Off the line he goes. Luis Enriquez finishes in 2nd position. Fabian Zoya making up the rest of that podium. Dan Ott, by the way, still leading from Chuck Lobano. One more roll of the dice there. It's almost a photo finish across the line for 6th position. Matt Malone occupying it. Here is that amateur class battle. Edgar Sanchez going to try and invite himself alongside maybe for 12th position overall, but it is Dan Ott who takes that victory. And a crucial one in the context of that championship. Jeff Robichaud across the line in 17th, and it's a drag race again as Stefan Price just finishes ahead of Martin Bork. Everyone else flying across the line. Ken Echtop will finish in 26th position, with Ryan Bevel almost alongside him. And then Jay Little and Gazenda, the final 2 across the line. So, 5 minutes of a warm-up session ahead of us. I think we are going to get a word with our race 1 winner, Aero Nam. And what a race it was. Plenty of entertainment throughout the rest of the field. And Aero, welcome along to the commentary box. It was a tough race, but again, a race that you totally dominated. And you said you felt good around this Bar Motorsport Park. If I'm recall this Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, I apologise if I recall correctly, but you can't complain at that win. And now, according to the broadcast notes Randall has provided me, you're just a win away from what I hear is a perfect season.
Yeah, it was pretty easy. Like I predicted this week, lap times were pretty close in the quali, and in the race it was pretty close. So yeah, but I got good start, and pretty much that was it.
And you know that it's proving to be quite difficult to overtake it. Starting 10th, how do you rate your chances with the better pace and everyone to get up into that 3rd position by the end of this second race?
Yeah, it's pretty hard. I think it's it looks easy to pass, but it's so hard. Even if you go outside, you still let's see, maybe hard to do some tie bombs, but that's risky too. Yeah, but it will be, I think, interesting race for the race too.
And a final question, because we hadn't actually been able to touch on it last week because we didn't know that was how it had worked with drop rounds and things. But you are now the champion, and somehow it took until last week to confirm that after you've won every round but 2 this season, and one of those that you didn't win, you finished in second. But well, it's just been another perfect season for you, hasn't it? Really?
Yeah, beginning of the season it wasn't close, but yeah, race 2, 3, and race 4 already was very, very close. So it may look like it was easy, but it wasn't.
And well, Aero, if we don't get a chance to speak to you after the next race, thank you very much for joining us, and congratulations on, is it your third or fourth championship now?
I think it's the vote, and thank you.
Thank you. There you go. The series not actually having a champion that other than Aero Nam in the pros. Obviously, we did used to have two other championships in the Challenger and the amateurs. Now just the amateurs. That Challenger was removed for this season, unless I'm totally hallucinating the existence of Challenger. But anyway, it was won by Edgar Sanchez, for those interested, last season, which was my first season in the championship. So we should probably refer to some more of our sponsors, because if you're liking what you are seeing in the American Muscle Series, well, you can go and get yourself a mug or a slate coaster along with other awesome sim racing mods and accessories on the D-Nut Stuff Etsy shop. That's etsy.com/shop/D-Nut Stuff. And I have to say, I might be going and buying myself a little coaster or a little American Muscle Series mug or something for the next round. Only £4 for a extra thick cork coaster, which is, you know, I would argue perfect value for your money. But anyway, go over there. That's D-Nut Stuff, D-Nut Stuff on Etsy if you want me to spell it out phonetically for you. But anyway, and actually probably another good time to mention is we're only a minute away from the end of the warm-up that Aero Nam has wrapped himself up at yet another Simpit trophy, and as appearing onto my screen should be the trophy that Aero Nam won himself last season, of course. But anyway, if you want to go over there, you can see their high-quality 3D printed trophies, and as well see that they are a website, a video show, and a community built for sim racers to find information about our hobby. The ultimate purpose of the Simpit is to make sim racers faster and more informed. You can search for the Simpit on YouTube or check out their website, www.thesimpit.com. And well, a wonderful trophy indeed, and well, we can now get ourselves ready for this next race, because as Todd Hansen goes across the line to be only one of two cars to set a lap, Mike Thompson pips him to the post. Two of the Thompsons go across the line. It's Mike Thompson who got the fastest lap of that warm-up session. Doesn't mean much as we get the checkered flag flying and we get ready for this second race. So it is 20 minutes or 250 laps, whichever one happens first. I suspect might just be 20 minutes, and it's Todd Hansen who is on pole position. To quickly run you through the order, as we won't have too much time in order to run you through the full order. It's basically a reversed top 10, so it's as we finished and then the top 10 reversed. That's Todd Hansen on pole position, Dunnington in second, Bast, then Keck, Malone, Banks, McGrew, Zoya, Enriquez, and finally Aero Nam round out the whole top 10. That was reversed, of course, from the finishing order in the first race. Now, crucially, Dan Ott isn't going to start on pole position. He starts in 11th. I'm sure he would have liked, for these championship purposes, to have started on that pole position, because it would have still seen Chuck Labano in that situation in 12th, so, or in 11th. There has been, by the way, a drive-through penalty in that warm-up session applied to the 148 of Jeff Besnard, but we're ready for the lights. Todd Hansen gunning for his first race win of the season. We're underway for the second time at Mosport in Canada. Jeff Dunnington gets off the line very well as Hansen gets swallowed up down into turn 1. Dunnington swooping around the outside, gets two of the cars in contact down into turn 1. It might be a pile-up as they go on through. I think Aero Nam has got through unscathed as they go through. I didn't see who crashed, but so many cars going through. Most consequentially, Chuck Labano into 10th position. Dan Ott all the way into 7th, but it's total mayhem at the moment. Aero Nam was caught up in it, and he's into the pits and presumably out of the race. Incredible drama that starts in Mosport. We'll get a replay for that as a matter of urgency. Jeff Dunnington had an incredible start regardless. And he goes through into the lead of the race. Here's what happened. Nam did get involved, and in fact, he hit the wall and was out of the race. Perfect season. With the drop rounds, he's going to have to wait until next week. Here goes Jeff Dunnington. 2.9 seconds in the lead of the race. First win of the season, maybe beckoning, or second win of the season for Scotty Banks, who sits in second at the moment. It's total carnage yet again. In these 2020 races, the 53 and 32 are under investigation, unsurprisingly, after that race start. That's just unbelievable stuff. Edgar Sanchinelli then up into the top 10. He's no stranger to the second race mayhems. Under pressure from Chuck Lobano though, who now is losing so many valuable points, 3 or 4 or so, to Dan Ott, who sits in 7th position. As I said, every single position that he loses is essentially a position he has to gain next week. To the inside goes Dan Ott. This is for the amateur class lead. He's looking to attack Jeff Andres, who runs all the way out wide, outbreaks himself ever so slightly, and now Ott's trying to find his way through. Swoops back to the outside line, and he's just going to cut to the inside in time to get that amateur class lead. Evan Hubschak is involved in this, by the way. He's going to try and get through both of them in his quest for a top 5 position, probably realistically the best he can do. We're 3 minutes into this race already just over 10% of the way into it. Evan Hubschak looking to attack Jeff Andres then. He's going to have to go to the inside line. Only way you can make a move here at Mosport. But he's going to be outbroken, and there'll be no doing for him at the moment. So it's the amateur class leader, amateur class second position, I apologise, that is holding on to 7th position overall at the moment. And the amateur class is brought to you generously by the son of one of the AMS drivers, Chuck Lobano, who's obviously gunning for that championship, and his Twitch channel, Royal Smitiy. You can go and show some support and give him a follow at twitch.tv/Royal Smitiy. That's Smitiy. And quietly, a very good amateur class battle that is developing over there, with that gap at the top of it. Chuck Lobano needs to get past Edgar Sanchinelli and Evan Hubschak, or hope that he can follow them through or something here. He's losing out to Martin Borker, goes down the inside, going to force all the way out wide. Chuck Lobano and Shorley finding his way to the inside, but no, not quite able to get through on Chuck Lobano. Now Lou Enriquez for the podium position. Scotty Banks is reeling in Dunnington. Now to the inside goes Enriquez. And gets that podium position away from Phil Keck. Now remember that catching is one thing and passing is another. It's a cliche, but it's correct. And Scotty Banks is going to have to catch up as a matter of urgency to Jeff Dunnington, who needs to give himself all the time in the world to make that pass. There is that gap at the top of your picture, visually getting closer and closer. 30.3 over the line, 29.5. from Scotty Banks. He is a man on a mission right now, gunning for his second win of the season. Both have come in these 2020 races. He won in Brands Hatch. Can he win in Mosport? Now Chuck Lobano looking to the outside. Unable to find a way through just yet, and Edgar Sanchinelli, who's trying to defend 9th position. Pretty good haul of points for him. At the moment it's Malone, Nam, Clark, Hodgson and Schultes, your retirements from this race. Bast and Zoya are both into the pits. Presumably they'll be retiring from the race. It's only 0.3 of a second now between Scotty Banks and Jeff Dunnington. Dunnington must have made a mistake, because there's no way Scotty Banks is that much faster than him over the course of a single lap. I say that though, He was on the previous lap about 8 tenths of a second faster. Here we go, slightly wide into the right-hander, able to collect himself nicely for the second apex. And has given himself 14 minutes to try and get the job done. Besnard and Phil Keck have both got themselves a penalty. Big again for everyone involved. Behind them, that will give Robichaux 5th position. Dan Ott. No, we'll give him 4th position, then we'll give Dan Ott 5th position. Evan Hoopshack has got past Jeff Andres. We're staying with this battle though for the time being. Scotty Banks may have just had the run as they go down into the best overtaking opportunity on this circuit. He's going to be having to go down the inside, and here he goes alongside. Down into the right-hander. Can Scotty Banks get to the lead of the race? It looks like he absolutely can. Perfect move from Scotty Banks, who has managed the first 8.5 minutes of this race. The first 8 minutes of this race, I should say. Absolutely perfectly, crossing the line to start lap 6. He is now your race leader. And as he crossed the line with 29.7 compared to a 30.5. That is absolutely why. Here's Martin Bork getting it all wrong into the final corner. Phil Keck comes in to serve his drive-through penalty. Bork is finding himself under pressure now from Thompson. Thompson's finding himself under pressure from Nickham. Phil Keck is back out of the pits. He falls all the way down into 23rd position. It's a disastrous moment for him, really. There's Chuck Labano now trying to gain every single position that he can. And it's ever so slightly cheeky, but I think he's sitting in interview waiting room. We can drag Jay Bast in for an interview and see what he made of that first lap incident. Jay, I believe you're up for an interview with us. If you can hear me, please feel free to say hello. Hello, just wondering what happened there on lap 1. We saw a lot of people get taken out.
Yeah, that was a bit of an unfortunate incident, I gotta say. I do want to apologize to everybody that got involved in that, but I guess the spotter just doesn't work until like turn 2 or something. I saw that Todd Hansen missed his shift getting off the line, so I tried to squeeze in between them, but unfortunately I wasn't clear when I tried to turn it for turn 1, and he just clipped my rear quarter there, and all chaos just happened. That was, yeah, I just want to apologize to everybody that got caught up in that. I know Eero did, and Fabian and a few other cars. So yeah, sorry to everybody for that. But yeah, what can you do?
Well, it just happens, doesn't it? But anyway, I'm afraid we can't stop and chat for too long because we've only got a few minutes left in the race and they're having a batter. But thank you for jumping up to chat to us, Jay, and unlucky about the race.
Thanks.
That was J Baz then. Just telling us what actually happened in that lap 1 incident that took most people out. He did, I believe, get a penalty for that as a part of the next race. Dunnington trying to hold on to what would be his first podium of the season, pending me actually checking the sheet properly and confirming that. It would be his first podium of the season, and he joined us halfway through. Sits in the pro category regardless. And right now, he's looking quite good to pick up that podium, even if it isn't quite a second position for him, or indeed his first win in the championship. 7/10 for a second to Scotty Banks. He's holding on relatively well. This is the total melee that's happening further behind. Jeff Andres is trying to get past Evan Hoovchak, who's in the 7 car and on the outside line. Here he goes. It becomes the inside, of course. They might go 3 wide as Edgar Sancinelli gets involved as well. On that inside line is the number 7 car, is Evan Hoovchak, and he's able to hold on to 7th position, to 6th position at the moment. That being said, Andres back down the inside now, becomes the outside for the final corner of this racetrack, and he's not quite able to find a way through. Edgar Sancinelli looking to sneak into 7th position. I'd make that his best finish of the season, Edgar Sancinelli. There's no doing for him just yet. Randall McGrew hit. Looking to attack Sancinelli, sweeps down the inside. And gets himself up into 8th position. Now Enriquez applying a further amount of pressure, an increased amount of pressure, to Jeff Dunnington, who hasn't really had the pace. I say that his recent laps have been right around where guys around him have been doing, just where that best lap time is. He's not in those 29s, and it's harming him. Just a couple of tenths of a second is all that they need to put pressure onto him. David Moore has got a drive-through penalty for incident responsibility in that 101 car. That incident was under investigation. It was with the 105, which is, as I look down my timing screens, Martin Bork. To the inside goes Enriquez. Unable to make a move just yet. Retirements from this race appear to be Price, Bask, Zoya, Malone, Nam, Hodgson, Clark and Schultes. So attritional affair once more as Ryan Bevel has manually disconnected from the session. He's now out of this race. Chuck Lombardo knows, losing 5 more points to Dan Ott. As it stands, as there's Randall McGrew, is it? Goes around and creates a bit of a car park. He does well to get himself out of harm's way, but that's going to force a few people to lose time, and Randall McGrew is going to lose a lot of time. Luis Enriquez has managed to get past Jeff Dunnington in the meantime. Here's what happened to Randall McGrew. This was a move, I think, on Evan Hoovchak in the 7 car. Has he just got it all crossed up as he went to apply throttle? No, it's a weird moment on the curb. He's been tapped as well. That won't help him. Chuck Lombardo had to stop completely. Few more cars follow him through. Here is Chuck Lombardo. Now trying to get back past Andres for 2nd position in class. Down the inside he goes. Not quite able to make that move. Danot now under pressure from Evan Hoovchak. Without sounding like a broken record, I repeat that all of these moves are crucial for these amateur standings. Danot gives himself a real chance here as we head into the final 40-minute race at Sonoma. Doing a double and finishing highly in that second race. Could just work wonders for him as Chuck Labano loses yet another position. He's down in 10th position. It's a 5-point swing at the moment. Assuming these guys, of course, have already completed their drop round. Labano under more pressure for his day to turn from bad to worse as Martin Bork tries to attack him around the outside. Labano's going to try and hold on to this. And it's a staunch defence at the moment. I say it's a staunch defence, it's a commentator's curse because it's the wall and flipping! Goes Chuck Labano! An absolutely colossal for this amateur standings. Is he going to pull it over? He is. And that should wrap it up for Danot into the next round at Sonoma. Talk about a staunch defence. With the championship currently only an 8-point swing between the two of them. Here's the move that Luis Enriquez was able to make on Jeff Dunnington. He went down the inside, and I think Dunnington here is just trying to hold on to that podium. Now Danot trying to get his 5th position back, knowing that every single point is going to help him in these championship standings. Looking to the outside he goes as Chuck Labano is into the pits. I don't know whether he'll be re-emerging in the next 2 minutes. No doing for Danot at the moment. He's disconnected from the session, so he is out. It could be Chuck taking his drop round here. He's retired from 2 so far this season. Mike Thompson Jr. looking around the outside. There'll be a lengthy discussion about that in the stewards room, I'm sure, after this race. They need to get it right at this stage in the season. Hello to Biggles in the YouTube chat. Welcome along. Long time no speak. We're looking at Mike Thompson trying to attack for 2nd position in the amateur class. Should be taking the white flag next time by Scotty Banks, gunning for his 2nd race win of the season, both coming in those 2 20-minute race format. Not able to win one in the 40s. There he goes, crossing the line, so it will be one final lap for Scotty Banks. Now Mike Thompson wanting this 2nd position. The amateurs enjoying a larger haul of points than they do normally. Welcome to my car, who's gunning and cheering for Danot, who looks so good to pick up that championship. Whether he mathematically does it in this race is a little bit above my pay grade. Down the inside goes Thompson. Now it's Andres. He's trying to attack, and it's Andres on the final lap of the race, and he's going to take that 2nd position off of. But Andres now, what can he do on the counter? Not enough, apparently. Going through the 2nd phase of the corner there and onto the exit. He's still going to keep his nose alongside. Now goes back to the inside. It's Matthew Thompson looking for a podium. try and keep an eye on where Scotty Banks is. Here he is, your race leader, as he's going up through the final few corners of this Canadian Tire Motorsport Park circuit. It was Brands Hatch, Scotty Banks' last win. He's going to make it 2 in the season. Scotty Banks wins in Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Louis Enriquez finishes second, and Jeff Dunnington, career best third. I'll give them, have to rely on a little bit of bad luck, but all the hard work was done on pace. Dan Ott crosses the line to put one hand onto the amateur trophy. Randall McGrew recovers after a crash earlier on to 5th position. Almost crashes across the line. My word, Randall. To give that one a minute. And here goes David Moore. So really, the big news there is about that championship, and Dan Ott, who is surely, by my maths, all but wrapped up those standings as we go into the final race of the season. And I say all but wrapped up because I don't think it's quite mathematical just yet. But it's a big swing for him, we'll say that. Here's Martin Pork. Him and David Klein will be the last two across the line. Quiet races for them, relatively speaking. Biggest drop for Dan would be 18 points. Chuck only dropping 10. And there we go. Crazy, crazy day at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. There is Scotty Banks, surely giving us some donuts, you would hope. He looks poised to do so. Slightly dodgy donut technique, Scotty. But definitely not dodgy racing technique for such a dominant race win. There you go, he's given up at second. So we'll have to ask him about that in a moment. Not a great deal of width on the pit straight here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Here are your race results. I always forget it's plural. Scotty Banks wins from Louis Enriquez by 2.8 seconds. They were on each other's pace throughout the course of this afternoon, but obviously Scotty Banks just did all that work as Louis Enriquez on himself stuck behind Jeff Dunnington, who finishes in a career best third. Incredible first podium of the season for him. Jeff Robichaud in fourth, with him Hubchak in fifth. Dan Ott all but wraps up that amateur championship in sixth, with Edgar Sancinelli finishing in a season best seventh. Mike Thompson Jr. is in 8th, Jeff Andres in 9th, Matthew Thompson finishes in 10th with David Blair in 11th, and then it's Nickham, Gazenda, Hansen and McGrew rounding out the top 15. Moore, Little and Eshtep are just outside of it, rounding out your first page of results. Then it is Keck, Bork and Climber, your 21, Scotty Brooks in 22nd with Chuck Lobano in 23rd, Jeff Besnard in 24th, Bevel in 25th, and Stefan Price. These two retiring from the race, by the way, in 25th and 26th. Zoya is out. Bast, Malone, Narm, Hodgson, Clark and Shorties all out of the race as well. And that should actually be your results. Only the 33 cars taking to the grid this evening. And, well, it still created a pretty, as you see the crash on your screen, it still created a pretty, well, chaotic events regardless, as these 2020 races tend to be. Let me just sort myself out on the screen here and we'll talk to Scotty Banks. And Scotty, welcome along to the broadcast. That was a race that I suppose you weren't really expecting to be winning, but you had the pace all day long, and the second that the other people were taken out of it, it was a pretty much clear run to the line.
Yeah, that was I think this is the third time that I've taken one of these wins where something goes horribly awry on the invert. So not necessarily the best win ever, but I'm happy to have made it through that. I was just rewatching it because I don't know what happened. I just saw cars sideways and had people right on my bumper and tried to not slam the brakes. And looks like I barely made it through. So yeah, I couldn't quite figure things out in race 1. I felt like I was driving too hard and then got in a battle with Randall, and it was fun, but I just didn't have it in the first one, and so I'm just happy to have made it through again. The turn 1 invert fun.
Well, whatever happened, you definitely got away with it. And it's your second win of the season. Obviously, it's all wrapped up championship-wise, but I suppose overall, in case we don't get to speak to you again this season, it's been a pretty decent season for you.
Yeah, it's the battles at the top this season were a little more competitive than last season, so it's been a little bit tougher fighting. Like, if I end up with second place again, it'll be 3 years in a row, but I feel like this one was the hardest, with Keith and like Jay getting up there, and Evan and Phil and all these guys that were a little farther back last season that really put the pressure on us up front. And I was hoping for a few more wins, because like I said earlier in the season, I put in a lot of time trying to get quicker to keep up with Arrow more, and that worked sometimes, but it was fun this season. I really enjoyed this schedule. I enjoyed the battles we had with all these guys up here. It was a good season. I'm happy.
And well, anyone you want to shout out on the broadcast before we let you go?
Oh man, I don't even know. I want to just thank broadly everyone in this league, because we so rarely have any sort of issues or anybody actually mad at each other, and it's just, there's so much good tight racing and respect between everybody. I look forward to this every Tuesday so much, because the competition and the respect is just unmatched compared to anything else that I've ever raced. So it's a great league.
And well, thank you very much for joining us, Scotty, and very well done on the second win of the season.
Thank you, and thanks for the good broadcast every week.
Thank you very much. And well, that was Scotty Banks for potentially, well, hopefully not, but potentially the last time this season. Second now, I think, all but wrapped up maybe in the the amateur, the pro category even. So a very good season for him. We'll next drag in Dan Ott, who has got his own celebrations to get in on. And Dan, this is a huge result for you with what happened to Chuck in that second race. First of all, congratulations on a very fine double. But second of all, this is the amateur category. By my maths, not quite wrapped up at this stage, but you've definitely put one hand on the trophy.
Yeah, it's a shame what happened to Chuck there in the last race. I didn't really see what happened, but I saw he dropped out. I was kind of hoping to battle him again in the second run, but that crash in the first corner kind of split everybody up.
And well, overall, very entertaining racetrack for racing. Clearly, not the easiest place to make a move, but is your racing in the lead in these amateurs? Have you just got to stay out of trouble? How are you approaching that?
Yeah, it's just stay out of trouble. I mean, in practice all week, I was having trouble with turn 2, so my goal all race was just don't go off in turn 2. I got the rest of the track figured out, but turn 2 has been sketchy.
And well, anyone you want to shout out on this broadcast? I suspect we might be speaking to you next week after the after the championship. But anyway.
Oh, I hope so. But yeah, shout out to Chuck and everybody I battled so far this year. It's been nothing but clean racing, no real issues. It's been an awesome year. Looking forward to coming back next year.
And well, thank you very much for joining us, Dan, and very well done on tonight.
Yep, thank you guys.
That was Dan Ott, a superb performance in the amateurs, and well, a superb race overall. We've got our upcoming broadcasts up just next on the YouTube screen. It's going to be slightly delayed for me, as no one's actually sent me the image, so just give me a moment. It's only a couple. Actually, I believe we go over to WSRL next Tuesday, same time next week. Their race should be at Suzuka. Then, of course, we have ourselves here on the American Muscle Series, same time next week. It's not April. It's not March. It is, in fact, April, I can confirm that. No, ignore me. It will be a WSRO race at Suzuka, I believe, next week, but it will also be XSLR on April the 16th. That's 8:10 p.m. Eastern. That's at Knoxville, and then obviously we go to Sonoma for our season finale. Then wait for confirmation on whether we'll be getting a WSRO race. As well, they were unfortunately cancelled this evening. But anyway, I've been Tom Dillon in our little virtual production truck, as Alex Thompson likes to say, has been Jesse Olsen. We'd like to thank you all very much for watching, and we'll see you all later. Good night.
Not. So Patrick, do we describe this for everybody, Rob?
What?
You describe it. You describe it. I
What?
do enough talking.
I think any car's dead in iRacing. I think it's gone.
Oh, it's definitely. I agree. It's not going to survive much, but I still think we'll find opportunities to race it, just not as fruitful as before. Some of your some of them just want to make. What's the thing? Like that guy wanted to make like dolls out of Tyler's hair, but then there's just other guys who are just like. He did. He would say weird things to Tyler, man. Like he was a strange guy. And then like other guys would just show up and always like,
I
"Oh,
just need to-
we never met you? Sure, come race this 24 with us." And then just jump in the car and wreck us out in a lap and be like, "Okay, never see you again."
Yeah, that
Like,
was
okay. Well, better luck next year, I guess.
that was the guy from.